Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I just wanted to share an experience I had this week. As many of you know, I am sober and I haven't been to a meeting in a really long time, and I went to one. It's probably been about 3 years since I've been to like an actual formal meeting. Um, and it was so good. It felt so nice to finally be back in that environment. Um, like I shared in the intro, I did AA for a very long time, and I feel good and life is good and everything's going well. So I really didn't need to go to meetings. And so just people say you have to go to meetings all the time, and you don't. I mean, we get sober to live life and enjoy life, and that's what I'm doing. But as many of you know, Adam is in recovery as well, and he's not here today. But we both went to this meeting, and I just wanted to share my experience because it was really exciting to see and hear, and the feelings that came all flooding back. And so it's a Christian recovery meeting, and they do the Bible and AA almost hand in hand. It's the 12 steps and the Bible verses that go along with what they think correlates with it. So this was on step 2, and it's really about grandiose thinking, right? And they went back into the book of Daniel, and they were talking about Nebuchadnezzar, which is a very difficult name to say and took me quite a few times, and I nailed it. Okay. So anyway, so it says, just to read it, just so I don't jack anything up here. He was a king of ancient Babylon and was the most powerful ruler on earth. He believed he was a god and demanded to be worshipped, right? So what happened? God was like, nope, not today, and drove him off and took his sanity away. And he actually lived like an animal, eating grass, etc., for about 7 years, as it quotes. And he found God and humbled himself and came back. But during that time, he would find God. He was out. He was in, he was out, right? And I totally related to that because my whole life I've been in and out, right? I find God, life is good. Rhonda takes the wheel back. I'm back in action. And, I don't need him anymore, right? Until the next disaster. So the questions, which I loved, I'm just going to read all 3 and then just kind of share what I felt. And, hopefully, I would love to hear what anybody relates to, good or bad. If you're struggling, if you've already been through it, how you got through it, what you felt, whatever. I would love to hear that. And I personally would absolutely be responding to you. So the question 1 was, when in my addiction, in what ways did I display the belief that I was only accountable to myself? How have I tried to have power over the events, outcomes, and people in my life? Everything and everyone. And in what ways did I show that I forgot that God is ultimately in control? I still fail to realize that God is ultimately in control. Okay. So like, this isn't a conversation about, me like just preaching and whatever, because I'm not there. I'll be honest, 100%, I'm not. So, but what I did relate to was this, right? The power over events. In my addiction and in early sobriety, I felt like I knew everything. I knew what you should do. I knew what my mother should do. I knew what everybody on the planet, or even complete strangers, on how they should be behaving, what they should be doing, what they should be doing with their life. And if they didn't, it was like, what? Why would they not listen to me? I knew everything, right? Like I had a God complex. And thankfully that kind of got knocked down. But I still have an issue with control. I still like to try and control every situation instead of handing it over. And one of my biggest things which was a share in that meeting was be still, right? Be still, because why? The answers aren't there yet, right? And they are there. I'm just not hearing them. Or I'm just not ready for it. Or the time just isn't right, right? We want things in life, and maybe it's just not a good idea. If in early sobriety, life was going great and I felt no pain and no hardships, I probably wouldn't have stayed sober as long as I did. I needed that. I needed to go through what I went through to get to where I am today. And it wasn't easy. And it's still not easy, right? Because I take my will back all the time. And, when I have no control and I lost all control and I lose my hope, then I turn to God, right? And I'm like, God, please help me. And if you help me, this is what I'm going to do. And then he helps me. He's always have, right? And I look back in hindsight and all the ways he's helped me, you know, living through overdoses or falls or, you know, drinking and driving. Cause, I had my fair share of drug use, but my biggest problem was alcohol. And, I drove drunk all the time, and I'm so grateful now. I didn't kill myself or anybody else, but like I also prided myself. Like I didn't drink and drive with my kids. So that made me a better drunk driver, right? I didn't lose my driver's license because I got away with a lot of stuff. I knew a lot of people, but in my mind that made me a better person. Um Different things like that. I didn't lose my home. I didn't lose my job. But there were different outlets for that, right? Because I had ways of manipulating everybody, and that's what we did. And so gratefully, with working the 12 steps, which some people might be scared about, some people might not be. And I think no matter who you are, no matter what issue you may have, whether it's in addiction or not, an addiction could be sex, drugs, alcohol, working out can become an addiction. I've been down that road, gambling, or you're just having a tough time in life in general and you may not have an addiction. The 12 steps were there to make you a better person, to help you, you know, right your wrongs, see where you can be accountable, a million things. And eventually at one point we're going to do that. We're going to, go through the 12 steps in this channel. And, if you like and subscribe to our channel, you'll see that, it'll pop up in your feed when those things happen. And I think it's going to be really great. But they help people, and you're not going to jump on this pink cloud and life isn't going to be all hunky dory immediately. It takes time, it takes practice because, you know, it, it didn't take 20 years to walk into those woods and come back out 20 years later, that easily. I think I jacked that up, but it's like it takes 20 years to walk in, it's going to take 20 years to walk out. So I'm not going to destroy my life for however many years I did. And by the way, I didn't get sober till I was 37 years old. So I did some serious damage there. Life isn't going to be perfect immediately. It takes time, it takes work, a lot of work, a lot of humility. And so anyway, I just wanted to share, if you are having a rough day, if you're not having a rough day, it's been a while. Listen, go to a meeting. Like they're great. There's a million different types of meetings out there. This was a Christian meeting. This is the book, the Life Recovery Workbook. It goes along with the Life Recovery Bible. Like I said, I did AA, I've done NA, there's Smart Recovery, Refuge Recovery. There's a million different outlets out there to help you get through it versus trying to do it on your own, because we can't, we need each other. And anyway, that's all I have. I appreciate everybody popping in. And like I said, leave a comment, if you relate to this video, if you don't, if you are struggling in an aspect, if you have a story, I'd love to hear all of it. So we will talk to you soon and see you in the next video.